My traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, the dawn is breaking on the stage that holds our final destiny. And so my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, don't dream it, be it. Because the show must go on. And on today's episode, I'm finally going to talk about the dragon, or the dragons. Okay, so this is a little bit of a story. It's mostly, I don't even know if I would call this channeled information. It's intuitive information. And then I guess we'll follow it up with a reading, hopefully a brief one. But this started towards the beginning of last year. It might have been in February or March that I was getting this information. And it had started when I was giving a personal reading to someone else. There was a particular being that started hanging around, and I was sort of spending time with this being, I guess you could call it, but just letting it give me more information about itself as it hung around. And what I knew fairly immediately was that this being was a luck being. It was lucky. And I thought it was like just a being of the earth or something. And what I thought was, oh, this being is probably making itself known because it is going to, and when I say belong, that's not the correct word. I knew that the being wanted to go to someone, or now I'm thinking it's many someones because it wasn't something that popped up in a personal read. It's something that popped up in the general reads, or I came to understand that as time went on. And so what I was thinking at the time was, oh, I just need to be aware of this being because one day I'm going to give somebody a one-on-one reading and this being wants to hang out with them. And so when I was first seeing this being, what it looked like was sort of this gray, purple, if you could imagine, like a cat combined with a salamander, except it has like a kind of feline face, and it kind of looks more like a salamander, like it has a tail, and it doesn't have any fur. And it's maybe about the size, hold on. It's maybe about the size of an older kitten if it stood up on its hind legs. So this being stands up on its hind legs, it has a tail, and it looks about how I described, okay? And that is the being's mini, there's a small version and a large version, but it's the same being. So when the being is in your house, it's in the small version. And when the being is outside, it's typically in the larger version. And I believe that the being changes size with the time of the year. So right now, the being would be about the size that I described, but it will be steadily getting bigger. And so I didn't really understand why this being was hanging around, other than I was like, well, one day I'm going to run into somebody and then I'll know, right? Because the being will be like, well, that's the one. And then what I realized as that kind of never happened, I realized that this being was associated with this year because, of course, this is the year of the dragon. And I didn't realize that until much later on in 2023, when we were getting ready to move into 2024. Because I was wondering why. I was wondering why I hadn't been called to give the download and talk about this being, if that was true, if it was a being or a family of beings that wanted to be discussed because they were going to be mobile in 2024. And then I did not realize after I figured out that it was the year of the dragon, that because I was like, oh, well, it's after New Year's. How come I haven't had the okay to give this download yet? And well, of course, the Lunar New Year is different than the American New Year. And so I was like, oh, right. And there were all sorts of synchronicities over Mardi Gras about these dragons. And so now, finally, because I need to give this particular message before the solar eclipse, something about this has to do with the solar eclipse. So these little beings are dragons, and what they do is they gravitate towards people who are making things fairly consistently. They're drawn to the energy of people creating things consistently, and in the creating, they are experiencing happiness and fulfillment. And it's sort of like you would have to be doing something that provides other people happiness, love, support, and fulfillment. So it's like intensified if you're doing something to where you are sharing that with someone else. So this is like people who are creating and producing and displaying art regularly. It's writers, it's people who have small businesses who are creating products. It is especially surrounding food. If you make food that you are selling, even if you are just making food for your family or for the community and sharing it with people, these beings, these dragons, are attracted to that. And these are lunar beings. And they are also autumnal beings. They are harvest beings. So they will be at their largest during fall, during autumn, the harvest season. And so what these beings do when they are around you and you're doing this creation process fairly regularly is that they amplify the energy that you are producing. So you would be maybe inspired to create more, like there would be more happiness, more love, more fulfillment with these beings around you. It's also possible that these beings will promote some sort of success for you if you do happen to catch sight of one, or you simply know that their presence is with you. So these are quite friendly beings, though they are cat-like in that they kind of just want to be left alone. They do not particularly want to be interacted with or touched. You can, if you so choose, leave offerings for these beings. You may share food with them. They like, specifically, no meat. These beings do not like meat. If you are making food and part of the food that you are making for others includes meat, that's not something that they care about, though they will probably, if they are in the house, they will leave your house and be outdoors because they don't like the smell of like roasting meat or anything like that, and they do not consume it. So you would not be like leaving offerings for these beings that included meat or anything like with like blood in it, especially. They enjoy gourds, potatoes, yams, fruits, but like fruits that you would associate with fall. So like apples, pears, not really anything tropical. I mean, they wouldn't hate it, but like it's stuff like what I'm talking about. So they like spices, they like cinnamon and salt and things of that nature. Also, they do not mind dairy. So like things like creams and cheeses are good. If you were going to make a stew, it would have to be like a vegetable stew, though it could be like cream based if you really wanted to. Pasta and things like that are also fine. Let me think about that. And like these dragons, like I don't think they have wings. They look like kind of like, they don't look exactly like when you see like a depiction of an Asian dragon or a Chinese dragon. They look like that, but they don't have the same like fur or whiskers sort of around their heads. They don't have that. but they are very much like lizard-like without wings. They have the falcor look, right? And then they look like their coloration, they either look very much like fall leaves, so there's a lot of yellow, orange, red, brown, but also they look like the colors of shade underneath a tree. So that's when I was describing the one that I saw. They look like gray, blue, purple. And so I can finally talk about these beings. I don't have a name for them, but they are very like gentle, calm, like just pleasant hearth beings. They especially they love like kitchens, and they like being around, if you have a fireplace, they like being around the fireplace. If you have any trees in your backyard or anything like that, they love being in the trees in the backyard, or just like underneath the tree in the shade. If you have a garden back there that like you're growing your own food, they'll be back there. Or they will be on your roof when they are very large. But like at this time of the year, they're going to be more in the smaller form. And they would prefer to be like indoors around this time, like through summer, right? When they start getting much larger at the end of summer, they'll make their transition outside. And then that's when they're at their largest, and like, because it's the harvest time, it's time to reap the harvest. And I don't know if that's going to have any sort of special significance for anything that you're working on. If you feel like one of these beings is with you, it might. And then they would stick around like for New Year's, but I'm fairly certain that they're gonna peace out by the end of this year. This is kind of a temporary visitation. They don't like completely leave, but it's sort of like not all of them stick around. It's like a migration almost. And I just thought it was very interesting that all of this was coming to me. And it was before, it was like, I did not know. I was like, oh, duh. This makes so much sense because it is in fact the year of the dragon. But I like getting things before I know that, that is in fact what's going on. So when I get the sync later, it helps me like confirm that I'm seeing something that's like, when I say real, right? I am describing these as beings, and I consider them beings. I do consider them dragons. But we're also talking about a specific energy. And what interested me about this is that, to me, that strikes me as there's very much something to, like when we talk about the year of the dragon, whenever these things were created, there was some sort of actual like energetic event or a visitation event that people were describing. And I don't know what that especially means in the material environment, because I'm just dealing with the entities. So now that I've told you that, I'm going to go set my camera up, and we will see what pops up with a reading about these dragons, this dragon family. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if these dragons, this family of dragons, has anything to impart through the cards in the energy. I'm fairly certain they would, or else I wouldn't be moved to make the read, but I'm happy to finally get this out. I've been holding on to it for a long time, and I'm just like, when? And I kind of haven't, like, even now, I'm kind of not really feeling the energy, but I know it has to come out before the 8th. So even though I'm not feeling the energy, that doesn't mean that we can't put things out. All right, what's underneath this deck? This is designed, or whatever these dragons are helping you with. It seems like getting you more into like a flow state with your creative process or your production process. If you've been having like stress or problems or concerns, obstacles, things like it, these dragons are sort of helping you. It seems like, I want to say, it's almost like with strategy, but the point is not for you to really strategize. The point is for you to like get more into just the flow of the energy and not really thinking about outcome so much. So if this would apply to something like social media, you might be a person who is thinking more about like having a content plan or a brand strategy, things like that. I don't know that that's really the best for the creative process. Like you might very well have like brand goals or whatever, but there's something about that structure, that planning, that is potentially inhibiting your creative flow. So these beings might be helping you. Oh, the beings of abundance, right? Ten of Pentacles. The harvest beings. This is what they're here for. The Hermit, that is very much the energy. These are ancient beings. Ancient beings on top of a mountain. I don't know what mountain though, but they do like to be like up high when they're at their largest. The King of Wands is also here. Oh, they're attracted. They're attracted to that creative, that's yang energy, because these are lunar beings. The lunar beings are yin, so they're going to be attracted to that creative yang. And it's not, I'm not talking about the beings are female and they're coming towards men. The beings are more yin and they are coming, they're a lunar energy, they are attracted to solar energy. So I would be producing yang energy whenever I am creating and uploading a video. So if you are consistently producing that type of creative output, these beings are attracted to it and they bring with them treasure, some form of material abundance. So they are seeking out those energies to latch onto and give gifts with that Page of Pentacles. It's just sort of like when I say gift, like the beings themselves, like their presence is a gift because they don't come. I mean, obviously they're not here all the time and they're picking and choosing who they're coming to. And yes, their presence is a gift, but it's not sort of like the being is handing you like treasure. It's almost like the relationship that y'all create together, the result or manifestation of your energies combined just kind of naturally creates whatever this gift is, whatever this Page of Pentacles is. But this sort of abundance, luck, and material follows these beings. Judgment. This is like powerful stuff. Judgment, and also it like I said, it's only going to these are like chosen people. Like these beings have chosen people, and I knew when I first ran into her, and I was like, oh, this is going to a specific person. It's more than one person, but it isn't everybody. All right, this Hermit. Knight of Pentacles, Two of Swords. I don't know if that is an obstruction. Like this is just like a long journey. These beings have been on a long journey. I don't know if they're, oh. The journey's not going to be complete. If you see here, the Two of Swords is over the moon. Like I'm saying, these beings aren't going to be like officially here, I don't think, until after that eclipse, and it is the worm moon, and I know that has to do with earthworms, but another way to talk about dragons is like the worm. I believe it's like the worm solar eclipse, but it's really like, it's the moon creating that energetic portal. Yes, this is about like when the rejoicing King of Cups, when these beings, and like that's Bacchus, right? These beings are very, like I said, they're an abundance being. They're a harvest being. So that is Dionysus and Bacchus. And they are not coming through until after the 8th officially, because they're like here, but it's like there's something about that celestial event. So this King of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, like I said, yang and yin, and it's a pentacle energy. The combination of this yin with this yang is abundance, material abundance in some form. Because, I mean, we've got this page here, right? So, like, I don't know if y'all are getting the entire 10 of Pentacles. I think that just, like, the 10 of Pentacles is representative of, like, what all of these beings are bringing with them. And then maybe, like, each person is just getting a small amount of those 10 of Pentacles, right? And here it is. The Ace of Pentacles with the 10 of Cups. So this is being created out of love, fulfillment, and harmony, and is especially relevant if you are serving the community in some way. And so how would the collective know if one of these beings is around, if there are not seers? What would the signs be? The signs would be, well, you would be feeling much more creative, much more potent, confident in your creative process, and you would be much more in flow. Whoops. Death, some sort of transfer. Well, you would watch, like, so you're gonna know, right? If something transforms within the thing, like, let's say you're an artist, you all of a sudden, like, oh, you're very inspired and you're very much in your flow state, and you notice that, like, your art, like, takes a boost in, like, your rendering skills, or your style comes to a specific point in maturity for your life right now. So would be some sort of transformation with your creative process and also yourself. It would be a major one that you're noticing. And then the 7 of Cups, that's like lots of ideas, lots of information. That's potentially maybe lots of people. I'll go around one more time. Queen of Wands, Queen of Swords. Like, not only are you feeling confident and inspired and taking action, but it's like you are executing. You are, like, it's not just idle energy. It is something that you are taking direct action on, and it seems like in a strategized way. So these beings might be creating some sort of structure, or they might be taking on some of the burden of structure by, like, giving you the energy that they're giving you. Like, I'm not sure, but there's something about that. So either you need less structure, or you need help creating, like, a more stable structure. Whatever they're providing you, it is helping you to become like more efficient in what you're doing. But it's almost like efficient is like the wrong word. It's more like non-action action. It's about effortless creation that is producing a result, because it's not really about planning, but I am seeing, like, there's an efficiency to it. So this Death, the 3 of Wands, I don't know about going somewhere, but that's like transition. The 3 of Wands is transition. So there's some sort of passage that you would go through. 10 of Wands, there's something about less work though. Less work or hard work, like paying off. Or the 10 of Wands feeling like the 3 of Wands. Because that's like on a ship where you're, like, going and it's effortless. So you're making something very, very hard look easy, or something that has felt very hard to you in the past now feels much more effortless, or something that should be hard just flat out isn't. Yes, that is the truth. I can stop with that now. All right, and then what about this 7 of Cups? The 7 of Cups, this is people. Oh, people, joy, happiness, attracted to your work. That's like community reward. That's lots of people paying attention to you specifically for what you're doing, specifically for what you're creating. All right, we're going to move into final messages from the beings, because this would be likely the second post of the day. And I'm not going to close with the Son and the Father. We're just going to get a final message from the beings. Final message. All of this, okay. We got a long message, some talkative beings. All right, what do we have here? There's something about like consistency, something about your consistency and discipline. And going through some sort of hardship. 5 of Cups. 10 of Swords. I don't know if you faced defeat. This is kind of like remaining consistent and disciplined in the face of like challenges, hardships, like doubting yourself, being upset because maybe no results, like laboring in solitude, no clients, no money, feeling defeated by what you're doing. And this is like supposed to provide you, this is kind of like a reward for that. It's like the Star is like relief. We end with the Star and the Wheel of Fortune. These beings' presence are a gift because they have seen you working hard in the face of all of this. And it's sort of like they are coming in order to shift the energy. It's almost like it has to happen because you producing all of this effort and labor for like a decent amount of time, perhaps years, 2 years or more, because we have the Strength card on that. That could be 4 years more for some of you. You are generating an energy when you're doing that. Even when you're not seeing a result in materiality, that's still an energy. And like, if you keep going and working through all of this stuff, you like, if the energy does not meet you, if something does not push you over the edge, that's essentially an imbalance in the ecosystem. So something has to go on there, and that is either like you would suffer like burnout and collapse, so some of that energy could dissipate, or if that is not the case, then we are receiving a little bit of exterior assistance from the divine forces. So this is just to let you know that these beings will be around, and you will be noticing them. If you are a seer, if you can see, you will see them. Please do not be alarmed because they look like little lizards and they have tails, right? And dragons, like in the West, if like with the Christian connotations, that's not. It's not a demon. It's not even a hobgoblin. It's a little dragon, okay? It's a little dragon, and it's an abundance being. It's a good luck being, okay? So if you do happen to see, if you don't normally see beings and you see like a little lizard looking thing out of the corner of your eye, also if you feel something walking next to you, it'll be like when you're on the sofa, it'll be when you're reclining. You will feel it like walking up the side of your body. If you feel that, don't worry. That is just, these are like cat-like beings, I'm telling you. So they'll walk there. If you know, like you could see them in your mind's eye, of course, but also they might like one day, like someone might walk up to you and give you a present and there's like a dragon on it, or someone gives you a dragon figurine, or you get some merchandise that has a dragon on it, or all of a sudden, oh, hey, you're writing a short story and there's a dragon in it. Oh, Fourth Wing is really popular right now, and I think it's Iron Flame. That's like the dragon energy, right? You're the dragon. All of a sudden, dragons start showing up in your visual work. If you're a visual artist, your comics, whatever it is. Or you could just simply receive synchronicities on your social media feeds, something like that. All of that is most definitely a sign, depending on who you are and how you receive this sort of information, that these beings are around you. So, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies, this is reality, and I am your GM, your game master for this, the game of life. I am also, of course, the greatest magician of the age, and perhaps the greatest magician of all time. And together, you and I will perform the greatest magic trick of all time. We will reverse the polarities of the world, make America great for once, fly this boat to the moon somehow, shift our world onto the mega happy timeline, perhaps leaving it a much better place than it ever has been before. Because we are my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies. Crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time and lost in space. End meaning.